Book review: The Secret of Secrets, a novel, Robert Langdon, by Dan Brown. Dan Brown returns with another electrifying installment in the Robert Langdon saga with The Secret of Secrets, a novel that continues his tradition of high-concept thrillers mixing history, symbology, and cryptic codes with contemporary global concerns. As with his previous works, Brown draws the reader into a world where ancient secrets and modern science collide, and the humanity hinges on the unraveling of a deeply buried truth. Yet, this newest novel introduces refreshing evolution in both scope and depth, hinting at a more philosophical and introspective Brown, while still offering the trademark thrills fans have come to expect. Plot overview: in The Secret of Secrets, the sixth novel in the best-selling Robert Langdon series, Harvard symbologist Robert Langdon is once again drawn into a deadly mystery, this time involving an ancient manuscript that threatens to upend the foundations of science, religion, and global power structures. The novel opens in Prague, where Langdon is scheduled to deliver a lecture at the historic Charles University. But before he can speak, shocking disrupts the academic gathering. Prominent physicist and philosopher Dr. Eliska Novak is found dead under mysterious circumstances in the university's library. Her body is arranged in symbolic pose that Langdon recognizes from medieval alchemical texts, specifically one related to the fabled Secret of Secrets, a legendary manuscript believed to have been written by Aristotle and preserved through generations by mystics, scholars, and secret societies. Langdon is quickly pulled into the investigation by the Czech police and a brilliant artificial intelligence scientist, Dr. Sarah Vetrova, who was working with Novak on groundbreaking project at the intersection of quantum computing and ancient esoterica. Novak had been deciphering lost section of Aristotle's corpus using quantum-enhanced decryption algorithm, and coincides with the manuscript vanishing from secure archive. As Langdon and Vetrova unravel Novak's last clues, they follow a perilous trail across Europe, including the catacombs beneath Paris, the Rosicrucian lodges of Vienna, and the labyrinth of Chartres Cathedral, decoding riddles hidden in architecture, art, and ancient texts. At the heart of the mystery is forgotten concept from classical philosophy. News, or the divine mind, which the manuscript purportedly elaborates on in terms that echo cutting-edge theories in neuroscience and artificial intelligence. Meanwhile, a shadowy antagonist known only as Ishmael, the leader of a rogue technologist sect called the Fourth Mind, is orchestrating a series of attacks meant to stop the manuscript from being made public. Ishmael believes that the revelations within the Secret of Secrets, if released, would collapse organized religion and ignite worldwide chaos. His motivations are complicated by personal vendetta against Langdon, whom he blames for the downfall of revered mentor. Langdon and Vetrova discover that the manuscript was smuggled centuries ago from Constantinople during the Fourth Crusade and has since been guarded by a secretive order descended from Hermetic scholars. Each member of this order is tasked with protecting fragments of the whole truth. Until such time as humanity is ready for the knowledge, the action intensifies in New York City, where the climax takes place in the hidden library beneath the Morgan Library and Museum. There, Langdon and Vetrova must outwit Ishmael and his operatives in final confrontation that blends ancient ritual with digital espionage. They uncover that the manuscript's final message is not mapped to divine power as many, but profound argument about human potential, suggesting that the divine is not external but resides within the evolution of consciousness. As in all of Brown's novels, The Secret of Secrets explores big ideas through fast-paced storytelling. Here the themes include the collision of ancient philosophy and modern science, particularly how Aristotle's ideas may anticipate contemporary theories of consciousness and artificial intelligence, the role of myth and secrecy in shaping cultural and religious institutions, the ethical implications of artificial intelligence, with Dr. Vetrova's quantum AI nearly achieving self-awareness by the novel's end, philosophical reimagining of God not as deity, but as the intelligence within human consciousness waiting to be awakened. In the closing pages, Langdon delivers moving lecture at the United Nations, echoing the novel's central message that the future of humanity depends not on finding divine secrets in ancient scrolls, but on nurturing the divine spark within ourselves. The secret of secrets, once feared for its power, is revealed to be guide not to destruction, but to transcendence. Character development: Robert Langdon remains intellectually curious and humanly fallible. His eidetic memory and academic precision continue to drive the story forward, but The Secret of Secrets finds him more vulnerable than ever before. Haunted by the weight of past adventures and personal loss, theme tied subtly to events in origin, Langdon's reflections are more meditative and occasionally tinged with doubt. The novel explores his grappling with just symbols but with truth itself. particularly in an era where belief and knowledge are increasingly at odds. Selin is one of Brown's most compelling new female characters. She's sharp, emotionally guarded, and deeply rooted in the cultural intersections of the Middle East, unlike previous Langdon companions. Selin isn't there to be dazzled by his intellect. In fact, she challenges and often one-ups him in deciphering clues, especially those involving Sufi poetry, Islamic architecture, and ancient astronomy. The antagonists are also more complex than in previous novels. Rather than a single shadowy villain, Brown introduces a philosophical divide: those who seek to use the truth for liberation and unity, and those who wish to exploit it. Control and division. The primary antagonist, Abbas Karam, former religious scholar turned zealot, has tragic backstory that makes him eerily sympathetic despite his terrifying ideology. Themes. Brown tackles several weighty themes in The Secret of Secrets, the most prominent being interfaith unity versus dogmatic isolation. The novel suggests that ancient spiritual texts, often buried or discredited, contain commonalities that could help heal centuries-old rifts between Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. Another dominant theme is truth versus narrative control. The story explores how religious institutions, political powers, even academia can suppress inconvenient truths. The titular secret isn't singular object or revelation. It's the power of synthesis, of recognizing shared truths across disparate traditions. The final chapters press hard on the idea that spiritual enlightenment may lie not in exclusion but in embracing multiplicity. The idea of language as a bridge and a veil also permeates the novel. Brown gives considerable space to etymology, particularly the Arabic roots of sacred terms, and how mistranslations over centuries have created schisms. This linguistic focus lends the novel an added intellectual layer. Symbolism and historical depth. True to form, Brown's narrative is densely packed with symbols and references. From Ottoman calligraphy to the mystic geometry, Islamic design, the novel is arguably his most visually rich, with scenes set in iconic and lesser-known monuments throughout Turkey, Egypt, and Israel. Brown masterfully ties together elements such as the Seal of Solomon, Sufi whirling dances, golden ratios in Islamic architecture, and even the navigational tools of ancient Bedouin tribes. One particularly memorable sequence involves decoding an astral chart embedded in the ceiling of the Suleymaniye Mosque using lunar alignments and Rumi's poetry as clues. Brown does an exceptional job of integrating real-world scholarship with speculative mystery in a way that feels both immersive and plausible. He also draws on historical figures such as Ibn Arabi, al-Ghazali, and Maimonides, painting them as keepers of suppressed knowledge, relics of dogma. There's even clever nod to Galileo's methods of secret communication, drawing subtle line between the Enlightenment and medieval mysticism. Pacing and structure. The pacing of The Secret of Secrets is carefully measured, perhaps more so than previous entries in the series. While the book contains the familiar breakneck chases and cliffhanger chapter endings, it also includes slower, more contemplative stretches where the characters are engaged in debates, reflections, and deciphering texts. This deliberate pacing allows the reader to absorb the depth of the novel's ideas without being overwhelmed. The structure. Little timeline at times, using brief interludes from the point of view of characters like Abbas Karam and Layla Hazar, offering alternative perspectives and revealing the stakes incrementally. These interludes are handled with restraint and serve the plot rather than detracting from it. That said, some readers accustomed to the relentless momentum of the Da Vinci Code or Inferno may find the tempo slower. However, those interested in thematic richness and literary illusion will likely find it a rewarding evolution. Language and style. Brown's prose remains accessible, fast-paced, and information-rich. He maintains his signature style, short chapters, visual cues, and cliffhangers. Yet in The Secret of Secrets, there's noticeable shift toward lyrical passages, especially when dealing with poetry, sacred texts, or symbolic imagery. Quotations from Rumi are woven through the novel both as clues and as meditative pauses. The inclusion of Arabic and Hebrew phrases is handled with care and scholarly footnotes, some fictional, some real, giving the novel slightly academic yet engaging tone. Brown resists over-explaining, trusting his readers more than he has in the past to follow linguistic, historical leaps. Dialogues between Langdon and Selin crackle with intellectual chemistry. Their discussions about whether knowledge is inherently dangerous or whether certain truths should be concealed echo some of the deeper philosophical debates of our time. Relation to the Robert Langdon series. While The Secret of Secrets can be read as a standalone novel, it gains emotional resonance for longtime fans of the Robert Langdon series. There are several callbacks to previous books. Sophie Nebu from the Da Vinci Code, Edmund Kirsch from Origin, and the Vatican episodes from Angels and Demons. But what sets this novel apart is its emotional core. Langdon is not just guide through symbols. He's man facing his own limits. wrestling with whether his academic tools can help heal a world fractured by misinformation, fundamentalism, and fear. There's even an Easter egg for fans. Coded letter from an old friend presented in the form of paintings geometric anomalies that Langdon must interpret emotionally rather than intellectually. It's a beautiful moment that underscores the novel's theme, that not all secrets are meant to be solved. Some are meant to be experienced. Critique, while The Secret of Secrets is arguably Dan Brown's most mature and intellectually ambitious work, it is not without. Some critics may argue that the villain's motivations become murky toward the end, or that the climactic reveal, though profound, lacks the explosive twist that Brown is known for. Others may point out that certain historical liberties are taken, particularly in connecting disparate religious traditions. However, Brown has always operated in a space between fact and fiction, and here he seems to do so with more transparency and acknowledgement. Also, while Selin is a strong character, her arc could have been given more closure. Her emotional journey feels paused rather than complete by the final chapter. Perhaps deliberate choice, hinting at future installments. Inclusion, The Secret of Secrets is a triumphant return for Dan Brown and Robert Langdon. It's a novel that dares to suggest that truth isn't found in division, but in synthesis. It's less about shocking revelations and more about profound connections. Between religions, between people, and between the past and future. Rich in symbolism, philosophical depth, and historical intrigue, the novel expands the Langdon universe into new cultural, spiritual territory. It's thinking person's thriller, one that invites contemplation long after the last page is turned. For fans of the series, it's both satisfying continuation and bold step forward. For new readers, it offers an exhilarating entry point into Brown's world of mystery, myth, and meaning.